talks in Doha on Tuesday.
US President Donald Trump says that Iran has requested for the meeting, and this is despite Iran denying that direct negotiations were planned with the US on the deal aimed at ending the West Asia war. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said a delegation of Iran's own experts would travel to Doha. That's going to be happening this week, but staunchly denied any sit-down with the Americans.
Meeting in Doha is going to be perhaps important, perhaps not. We're going to find out. But we're winning militarily. It's almost won militarily, I would say. And it's really very simple. It's the denuclearization of Iran. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And they've agreed to that, in all fairness.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian signaled that Iran remains open to implementing its recently signed Memorandum of Understanding with Washington. In a post on X, he, however, stressed that U.S. must honor its commitments if it expects Iran to do the same.
Iran's exercise of control over the highly strategic Strait of Hormuz has sparked repeated flare-ups, the latest of which came early on Sunday when U.S. Central Command said that it had attacked 10 Iranian military targets over what it called continued Iranian aggression against commercial shipping. Iran said that it retaliated with strikes against U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain.
But while the strikes may have briefly fallen silent, the blockade remains a key sticking point in the negotiations. The strait comprises of Omani and Iranian territorial waters, but under international law, the two cannot generally block passage or charge tolls. Iran's foreign ministry says that it held the first meeting with Oman on managing the strait on Monday.
How the memorandum is to be implemented remains unclear even now, with Iran especially sensitive about the issue of demining. In a joint statement following a meeting between French President Emmanuel Macron and Omani Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, Paris and Muscat said that they would conduct joint demining operations.
Now, in response, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Qasem Gharibabadi insisted that under the agreement, only Iran was to conduct demining efforts.
Growing bonhomie between US President Donald Trump and Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara has perhaps hit its first real sticky wicket.
And that's, of course, how to deal with Hezbollah. And for the first time in years, Israel, Syria, and Lebanon's new leadership appear to share a common goal, and that is curbing Hezbollah's military power. And that rare alignment has fueled speculation about a new regional security equation. It has also sparked talks of possible three-front offensive.
Now, under the scenario, Israel would press from the south, the Lebanese army would move from the north, and Syrian forces would advance through the Bekaa Valley from the east, leaving Hezbollah surrounded.
Earlier this month, Trump has said that Syria would take the lead against Hezbollah, or could take the lead against Hezbollah, if Israel could not finish the job. Listen to this.
Said to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
Trump's remarks perhaps also sent a message to Iran that Washington has no intention of pushing the Hezbollah issue to the back burner, even as it pursues broader regional diplomacy.
But al-Shara swiftly distanced himself from the idea. The Syrian president insisted that Damascus wants to end conflict and not open a new front to Lebanon. According to reports in Arabic media, for a country emerging from 14 years of civil war, al-Shara's priority is likely to focus on reconstruction, foreign investment, and economic connectivity, instead of another military campaign.
Now, that difference in priorities has perhaps exposed the first real strain in the Trump-al-Shara understanding. While Washington sees Hezbollah as an urgent security challenge, Damascus perhaps believes stability is the key to Syria's recovery. According to Arabic media reports, to rebuild the country, Syria's leaders need investment, which obviously comes from stability.
Now, in this context, they claim disarming Hezbollah next door without disorder and bloodshed is a Syrian priority. The three-way military option, they claim, has not been ruled out completely. If diplomacy fails, a coordinated operation involving Israel, Lebanon, and Syria could still emerge.
And there is historical context to this Syria's military, remember, left Lebanon in 2005 after a 30-year occupation. And for now, however, the White House appears to prefer a diplomatic outcome, while al-Shara remains focused on rebuilding Syria rather than fighting Hezbollah.
All right, moving over to another war front, Russian forces have carried out a deadly guided bomb strike on the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, killing at least one person while injuring 12 others, according to local officials there.
The attack is part of a broader wave of strikes across Ukraine as this war continues into its fifth year now. The strike on the city damaged a tram, more than 15 cars and nearby buildings. Officials say another glide bomb flew in less than an hour later but failed to detonate. According to the city mayor, a 25-year-old woman was killed in the attack, while another young woman who was among the injured civilians suffered 90% burns. Officials also reported additional attacks in the cities of Dnipro and Zaporizhia, both of which have faced repeated strikes throughout the war.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky mocked Russia's repeated failures to capture Donbas, saying the Kremlin has set and missed 15 deadlines for over 4 years. He said Russia is now facing internal economic strain, including fuel shortages, which he linked to the ongoing war and Ukrainian long-range strikes.
Putin can say on television as much as he wants that everything is under control, that there is plenty of fuel, and that Russian ministers are competent. But Russians standing in fuel lines across various regions of Russia can clearly see that their so-called three-day war has now entered its fifth year.
At the United Nations, Assistant Secretary General Martha Poppy warned of dangerous escalation. She said Russian attacks have intensified while Ukrainian drone strikes have caused casualties inside Russia.
We firmly condemn all attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure wherever they occur. They are prohibited under international humanitarian law. They must stop immediately. Mr. President, since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine more than 4 years ago, the war has stoked tensions and instability across Europe. In countries neighboring Ukraine and the Russian Federation, reports of airspace violations and drone sightings have become frequent.
And Poland is making its biggest underwater defense investment in decades.
The NATO member has signed a multi-billion euro deal with Sweden to buy 3 of Saab's advanced A-26 stealth submarines, and this comes as Warsaw moves to strengthen its navy amid growing security concerns in the Baltic region.
Well, the agreement was signed by Polish and Swedish leaders, marking one of Warsaw's largest defense procurement deals. The contract was awarded to Swedish defense giant Saab after competing bids from France, Germany, Italy, South Korea and Spain. Under the agreement, Saab will deliver 3 new A-26 submarines along with weapons, training and long-term maintenance support. Deliveries are scheduled to begin in 2030, with the final submarine expected in 2038.
The A-26 is designed specifically for operations in the Baltic Sea. The Saab A-26 is a Blekinge-class submarine, described as the world's first fifth-generation submarine. It is built for superior stealth, allowing it to operate silently in the world's most complex maritime arenas. It is equipped with long-range precision strike torpedoes and is capable of deploying seabed warfare assets.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk described the deal as a major boost to defense cooperation with Sweden. He also added that the Baltic Sea should remain safe from shadow fleets, provocations and military threats.
Despite Sweden's relatively recent NATO membership, I must emphasize this very clearly. Our cooperation in the Baltic Sea has brought about a qualitative change in the security situation. We share common views on the situation across the entire region. We are determined to support Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. We are convinced that the Baltic Sea must be a safe place, free from shadow fleets, provocations, and military threats.
Until the new submarines arrive, Sweden will provide Poland with the HMS Sodermanland to help maintain its underwater capability. A coalition of 5 European countries are currently exploring Kenya as a primary site to host external return hubs for rejected asylum seekers.
And this European Union-aligned strategy, it aims to establish offshore deportation and processing facilities in Africa, with diplomatic evaluations actively underway to finalize the initiative. The proposed policy has sparked significant discussion globally and within Kenya regarding capacity, international human rights obligations, and the specific terms of the potential arrangement.
The East African nation was specifically selected due to its political stability and relative economic strength, joining other potential host countries in Africa like Uganda, Ghana, and Benin.
The skies in Amsterdam turned dramatic as nearly 4 hours of non-stop lightning created a striking natural scenery.
Well, take a look at Europe's largest light show, but natural.
Windows open up like doors.
You
gotta go. This is the thing. Good. He's asking if we can sign for us.
Venezuela is reeling from the aftermath of the devastating twin earthquakes that struck its coast last week.
The death toll has climbed to more than 1,700, with tens of thousands still missing. A powerful 4.2 magnitude aftershock has rattled Caracas down, raising fresh fears as rescue teams race against time to find the survivors. 5 days after the powerful 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes that struck Caracas back-to-back, emergency crews continued searching through the rubble in the worst-hit areas of La Guaira, Miranda, and Caracas. According to the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, rescue teams from 30 countries are working alongside Venezuelan emergency responders. She said that the government has established a joint command for temporary camps and housing to coordinate relief efforts and provide shelter to the quake survivors.
We continue our efforts to rescue survivors, which fills us with emotion and hope for their families and for our people, who are witnessing the tireless work of Venezuela's rescue teams and the international brigades. 30 countries are now in Venezuela, working to save lives, rescue survivors, and support our people in these difficult times.
And this morning's aftershock in Caracas, with a magnitude of 4.2 as determined by our Institute of Seismology, caused some anxiety among the population. But we must point out that there was absolutely no damage to any structures or injury to any individuals.
The United Nations, fearing more deaths from twin earthquakes in Venezuela, has announced it will provide 10,000 body bags to support emergency response, though it hopes the eventual toll will not be that high.
In a rare sign of hope, rescue workers pulled a 21-year-old man alive from the rubble after 106 hours. I repeat that, 106 hours being trapped beneath a collapsed building in La Guaira. He credited his survival to rescue teams, describing them as angels.
Yo no soy nadie, soy un simple chico.
I'm alive, thanks to my God. He is the only one who got me out of there and sent his angels. As far as I know, I was just informed that I was the only person in that building who was found alive.
Following emergency repairs, the port of La Guaira has now resumed operations and is being used to receive humanitarian aid for affected communities.
Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said that she is prepared to return to Venezuela to assist with relief efforts. Speaking from Panama City, Machado alleged that the government attempted to prevent her return by restricting air access and even obstructing humanitarian operations.
I am in Panama City, where I had planned to travel from to Venezuela. The regime closed our country's airspace to try to stop me. The regime is blocking my return and that of many compatriots who want to help. It has tried to stop citizens distributing food and medicine, stranded international rescue teams at airports, and obstructed journalists seeking the truth.
And in a latest warning against increasing emissions in America, a non-profit research group, International Council on Clean Transportation, has revealed how catastrophic the consequences of inhaling toxic airborne out-of-vehicular pollution can be.
And according to the study, roughly 5 Americans die every hour, and this is due to exposure to toxic road vehicle pollution. This is majorly attributed to fossil fuel transit becoming a major driver of mortality. The research also found that the U.S. has more new pediatric asthma cases annually than any other country. As in 2024, U.S. children accounted for 1 in 10 new pediatric asthma cases, and this is attributable to vehicle pollution globally. Studies suggest accelerating the shift to zero-emission vehicles could drastically cut pollution. If electric cars, trucks, and buses reach 100% market share by 2040, the U.S. could prevent over 100,000 premature deaths and more than 42,000 childhood asthma cases by 2050. That is compared to current adoption rates.
Right now, experts say that the nation is moving in the wrong direction, with the Trump administration undertaking sweeping environmental rollbacks and revoking plans to accelerate the uptake of clean vehicles.
On Iran, the Supreme Leader today said that U.S. attack could spark a regional war. Do you have any response to that?
Why wouldn't he say that? Of course he's going to say that, but
Well, all the 8 accused in the Ram Temple donation embezzlement case will remain in judicial custody until 13th of July.
An Ayodhya local court has remanded all accused to 14 days judicial custody. The ongoing money trail investigation has already led to the recovery of approximately 80 lakh rupees in embezzled funds from the suspects. Meanwhile, a crucial meeting of the Sri Ram Mandir Trust in Ayodhya will now be held on the 6th of July. The meeting was previously scheduled for the 11th of July.
According to sources, a decision on restructuring of the trust could be taken during this meeting. Now, the resignations of Trust General Secretary Champat Rai and Trustee Anil Mishra are likely to be discussed.
Meanwhile, the Faizabad Bar Association in Ayodhya announced that none of its members would represent the 8 arrested accused.
Now, the lawyers' body also demanded that Champat Rai, Anil Mishra and Gopal Rao, all that are associated with the management of the temple but not mentioned in the FIR, must leave Ayodhya within 3 days.
Now, all of this comes as the ongoing probe has revealed a sudden and dramatic transformation in the lifestyles of the key accused. Their lifestyles are now under scanner as it contradicts their modest official salaries.
The standard monthly salary for the donation counting staff ranges between 15,000 and 20,000 rupees per month. However, investigators noted a massive disparity in their assets.
And at the center of it is Anukalp Mishra. He was responsible for counting and managing donation funds for the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Trust. He has been identified as the mastermind behind this entire scam. Reports say his family went from dire financial straits to amassing vast assets, and it happened within a few years of him joining the temple's donation counting team. His upscale lifestyle is under probe. It includes a newly built farmhouse on his village outskirts, a house in Ayodhya valued at around 65 lakh rupees, and bookings for a premium SUV. And according to allegations, Anukalp also purchased an expensive flat in Noida, acquired land in multiple locations, and provided financial assistance to close relatives.
Anukalp allegedly used his influence to secure a job for his brother-in-law, Lavkush Mishra, within the temple administration. The FIR also names Lavkush Mishra as an accused. He lived in rented accommodation but triggered suspicion after making a sudden purchase of a premium motorcycle worth over 1 lakh rupees. Now, police raided his residence and unearthed 10 lakh to 12 lakh in cash, and the other accused are also being probed over their sudden purchase of land parcels worth over crores. And according to the preliminary SIT reports, the rapid lifestyle upgrades were allegedly funded by systematically pilfering cash and valuables directly from temple donation boxes. Reports say CCTV footage from the counting room found 70 instances of theft. And well, it's now time for a very quick short break on World Day. We'll be back with more news and updates from across the world. And we leave you for a break with these images that have been drawing our attention from across the world.
Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their time, celebrating, singing, dancing, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness. Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
Welcome back. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines at this hour.
Iran says no negotiation meetings are scheduled with the U.S. at any level in the coming days, despite President Donald Trump saying American and Iranian negotiators will meet in Qatar on Tuesday.
Police in Monaco and neighboring France are hunting for a man suspected of detonating a makeshift bomb in the center of the principality. The explosion wounded several people, including an Ukrainian businessman.
A powerful aftershock shook northern Venezuela just 5 days after twin earthquakes devastated the region. The disaster has claimed over 1,700 lives and left tens of thousands of people missing.
Ukrainian President Zelensky mocks Russia's military drive, saying the Kremlin has set and put off 15 deadlines to capture Donbass region across 4 years. Russia earlier rejected a Ukrainian proposal to abandon long-range strikes and scale down the fighting.
South Africa has deployed police to prevent unrest and protests on Tuesday, the unofficial deadline set by a citizen-led group for undocumented foreign nationals to leave the country. Officers are deployed and forced amid fears of violence and looting.
An Indonesian court is set to issue the verdict in the corruption trial of former Education Minister Nadiem Makarim, a businessman who had left a multi-billion-dollar startup to join the government. He is accused of graft tied to procurement of laptops for schools during the COVID pandemic.
General Dheeraj Seth will assume charge as India's new Chief of the Army Staff today, succeeding General Upendra Dwivedi. He will be the first officer from the Armored Corps to lead the service in nearly 3 decades. Indian government has lifted temporary curbs on petrol and diesel sales from 1st of July. Commercial, industrial and institutional buyers can now purchase fuel freely, and the 200-liter daily diesel cap has been removed as supply conditions have stabilized.
A group of law enforcement officers come together, do a Viking row welcome to the Norwegian football team at Dallas International Airport. Norway faces the Ivory Coast in the World Cup round of 32 in the city.
India's Foreign Secretary has dismissed track to talks with Pakistan.
And the comment comes amid reports claiming a thaw in relations between India and Pakistan through back-channel discussions at foreign events. Vikram Misri said that any interactions between individuals at private events does not hold any official value. The Foreign Secretary also said that he cannot speak for the Pakistani government, but the Indian side offers no official supports to these private visits, these track to talks.
I mean, obviously, I cannot speak for the government of Pakistan, but as far as the government of India is concerned, there is no official participation, no official support or involvement in these visits. So that's the other important thing to keep in mind. And thirdly, we really take no cognizance of these events. They really don't hold much value as far as we are concerned.
The comments follow reports of possible people-to-people back-channel talks between India and Pakistan at foreign events since late last year.
Reports further claim that these track 2 talks were facilitated in Bangkok by a Canada-based organization and in Colombo by a London-based institute. BJP leader Ram Madhav and former Army Chief M.M. Naravane, among other senior retired officials, attended the event. The US ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, delivered an optimistic assessment of the relationship between the two countries.
Well, he said that the U.S. government has complete confidence in India as a trusted and predictable strategic partner. He also announced that the highly anticipated India-U.S. bilateral trade agreement is on the verge of completion, with negotiators working through the final 1 or 2% of the legal text. He also said a high-level Quad meeting will take place in the Philippines in about 2 weeks.
And during his keynote address at the 9th US-India Strategic Partnership Forum Leadership Summit 2026, Gore said that the US Embassy is actively working to remove traditional bureaucratic concerns that have held back some major American companies. Gore emphasized that the bilateral relationship is insulated from short-term political cycles, and President Trump remains committed to a win-win partnership with New Delhi.
And it's an incredibly gratifying thing to say that the United States trusts India. We work with India, and we look forward to identifying those next opportunities for both of our sides.
He said his primary mandate since taking office has been to accelerate high-level administrative engagement between Washington and New Delhi, citing recent delegations led by the U.S. Secretaries of Commerce and the Army. Gore also revealed that Secretary of State Marco Rubio was so impressed by his maiden official visit to India in May that he is already planning a return visit before the end of the year. He added that the United States would welcome another visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Secretary Rubio invited him when he visited him. And so yes, we have invited him, and we would love to have him back here. And I think he's coming in December for the G20.
India's ambassador to the United States, Vinay Mohan Kwatra, said India has emerged as an indispensable anchor of global economic growth and stability, while outlining New Delhi's ambition to become a $25 to $30 trillion economy by 2047.
And three, a set of hugely transformative measures in India which have catapulted India into now roughly $4.3 trillion economy, heading into $7 trillion by the end of this decade, hoping to transition to $14 trillion by middle of 2030s, and eventually reaching $25 to $30 trillion goal by 2047. Given the kind of challenges and disruptions that we face, Prime Minister Modi's India is not just an indispensable bridge. I think it's an indispensable anchor of the global order, of the economic growth.
Moving on, China has released first official footage of its 6th-generation fighter aircraft.
China's military buckle, the official press account of the People's Liberation Army, published a 4-minute video. The video was released to mark the 10th anniversary of China's first heavy transport aircraft, the Y-20, entering service. In this video, the Y-20's co-pilot asked the captain, "Who are we refueling today?" He replied, "First the Master 6, then the Little 6. And the view then shifts to outside the cockpit window. capturing a fleeting, blurry silhouette of a tailless plane. Experts believe this to be the sixth-generation fighter.
Master 6 is an informal name used by Chinese defense enthusiasts for the H-6 strategic bomber. The nickname Little Six, a reference to the sixth-generation fighter, and had not appeared in official military media before.
China is actively testing at least 2 distinct sixth-generation fighter jet prototypes. The prototypes are unofficially designated as the Chengdu J-36 and the Shenyang J-50. Unlike the United States' next-generation air dominance program, which selected the Boeing F-47 design, China has taken a dual-track approach by testing aircraft from 2 competing state-owned design bureaus simultaneously. And tensions are simmering in the contested South China Sea. China is keeping tabs on the US and Philippines drills.
And it claims that the drills threaten the peace and stability of the disputed waters. And over the weekend, China has deployed a warship and Coast Guard vessels near the Scarborough Shoal, which overshadowed the joint maritime exercise by the US and the Philippines. A day after Manila said 4 Chinese vessels monitored the drills, the Chinese army has confirmed the deployment. A week ago, a rare standoff between the Chinese and the Philippine navies took place near the atoll.
According to Philippines, 1 Chinese Navy vessel, a Type 054B, guided missile frigate, and 3 Chinese Coast Guard ships followed the bilateral maritime drills by the United States Coast Guard and Philippine Navy and Coast Guard, 93 kilometers from Scarborough Shoal.
Beijing did not directly acknowledge the encounter. The Chinese military played it down, saying it was an organized routine air and naval patrols in the South China Sea. It has accused the Philippines and the U.S. of disrupting the situation in the South China Sea and undermining the regional stability. In fact, Beijing vowed to resolutely safeguard its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests.
Scarborough Shoal, a triangular coral reef formation, has been a bone of contention. It is 230 kilometers off the Philippine coast and about 650 kilometers from China's southern Hainan province. Both China and the Philippines have claimed sovereignty over the coral atoll. Scarborough is a rich fishing ground. China wrested from the Philippines, a crucial U.S. defense treaty ally, back in 2012.
However, a flurry of Chinese actions there have renewed tensions following a serious collision in 2025. Beijing's move to declare a nature reserve over much of the shoal has angered Philippines, which claims it is a violation of the country's sovereignty. Now, with the Amarnath Yatra just days away, security forces are on maximum alert in Kashmir Valley.
From dense forests to pilgrimage routes, paramilitary troops, including the ITBP, CRPF and CISF, alongside the Jammu and Kashmir Police and the Indian Army, they have intensified mock drills to ensure every pilgrim's journey remains safe and it remains secure.
मुझे करना क्या है कि एक जवान को भी पता हो कि मुझे रिएक्शन आ गया आड़ पकड़ लिया आपने हमें आने वाली यात्रा को ठीक है मीनवाइल हम जवान को सक्सेसफुल के साथ रास्ता आ गया वहां से फायर आ गया.
The mock drills are being carried out at various locations along both the Pahalgam and Bartal routes. Besides major transit camps, base camps, and other sensitive locations associated with the pilgrimage.
The surrounding forests and higher reaches are being thoroughly sanitized. The drills are designed to test operational readiness and ensure a swift response to any security threat during the annual pilgrimage. Our senior special correspondent, Idri Sloan, brings you more on this. Take a look.
After last year's Pahalgam terror attack, security forces are leaving no stone unturned to secure the dense forest areas of Pahalgam, where the Amarnath Yatra will be starting from July 3rd. As you can see, there is a mock drill taking place in the dense forest area of Pahalgam right now, where security forces have an input about the presence of a terrorist in the area. And as you can see, they're encircling the place where they have an input that there could be a terrorist hiding in the area. It's a joint mock drill where security forces from Jammu and Kashmir Police, ITBP, as well as paramilitary forces are doing this mock drill together. This is to make sure to sanitize the whole area, the whole dense forest area of Pahalgam. Last year we saw the Baisaran terror attack, after which security forces are leaving basically no space for terrorists to infiltrate into these dense forest areas again. What we are seeing on the ground, joint operation of security forces, making sure that every nook and corner of the dense forest area of Pahalgam is completely sanitized. With video journalist Firoz Idris Lone for WION World is One.
The global AI race is not just transforming technology, it is reshaping stock markets as well.
Well, new Bloomberg data shows India, China, and Hong Kong are the only major markets where the dominance of the top 10 listed companies has declined over the past year, even as AI-driven markets like Taiwan and South Korea continue to surge. Here's a closer look at how the AI boom is redrawing the investment landscape across Asia.
The global AI boom is reshaping stock markets across Asia, creating a clear divide between markets with dominant AI companies and those without. According to Bloomberg data, India, China, and Hong Kong are the only major markets where the top 10 companies now account for a smaller share of total market capitalization than a year ago. In India, the top 10 firms now make up just 19% of the market, down from 22% a year earlier, while China's share has dropped from 26% to 19%. In contrast, markets with AI supply chain leaders have become even more concentrated as investors pour money into a handful of technology giants. This has amplified bubble concerns, especially in tech-heavy markets.
The AI ship, although we love the technology, everyone loves the idea, it's like a cruise ship where the captain knows where they're going, the passengers don't know where this is going, passengers get nervous. The captain is the CEOs of these companies putting billions and billions and billions of dollars of infrastructure into the AI. The market is the passengers saying, when are we going to be profitable here? At what point does profitability come to play? Analysts are saying 2030, could be longer. And when prices go up higher, suddenly you start to question that value.
The biggest beneficiaries of the AI rally have been Taiwan and South Korea. Taiwan's benchmark index has surged 54% this year, led by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's largest contract chip maker. South Korea's market has also rallied sharply, driven by memory chip leaders SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics. As a result, the top 10 companies now account for nearly 65% of South Korea's market capitalization, almost double their share a year ago. India's market remains dominated by traditional heavyweights, companies that are not seen as direct beneficiaries of the AI investment cycle. Analysts say the absence of a dominant AI champion has limited the Nifty's performance this year. China presents a different picture. While its market concentration has also declined, investors are rotating into AI-linked hardware companies, banks, insurers, and high-dividend state-owned firms, allowing the broader market to participate in gains. Market experts say India's diversified market structure could prove more resilient if the global AI trade loses momentum. But for now, AI-driven markets continue to lead global equity performance. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
Now, Apple has accused India's competition watchdog of failing to conduct an independent antitrust investigation,
claiming investigators simply copied the arguments of its rivals. The allegations come as the US tech giant continues to challenge a probe that accuses it of abusing its position in the iPhone app ecosystem. Now, the case centers on a 2024 investigation by the Competition Commission of India, CCI. The investigation concluded that Apple had engaged in anti-competitive practices by requiring app developers to use its own payment system on iOS. Apple has denied these allegations and has asked for the investigation's findings to be set aside.
In a submission reviewed by Reuters, Apple accused investigators of copy-pasting claims made by companies including Match Group, Paytm, and PhonePe. The company argued that the CCI failed to carry out an independent assessment and instead repeated its rivals' arguments without proper verification. Apple also said the investigation relied on material from a European Union case, despite differences between the Indian and European markets.
Apple maintained that it holds less than 6% of India's smartphone market and said any forced changes to the App Store could disrupt its business model and harm investment. A closed-door hearing involving Apple, the CCI, and other parties is scheduled to take place on the 21st of July. The case is part of broader global scrutiny over how major technology companies operate their app stores and digital platforms. One of the biggest shocks of the FIFA World Cup has unfolded in Foxborough. Four-time champions Germany are out after suffering a dramatic penalty shootout.
This was a defeat to Paraguay in the round of 32. The 1-1 draw was followed by a tense shootout that saw Paraguay triumph 4-3, handing Germany their first ever World Cup defeat on penalties. Paraguay came into the clash as underdogs but stunned Germany just before the break. Matias Galazza's cross found an unmarked Julian Encio, who powered home a header to give the South Americans a surprise lead. Germany struggled to create chances in the opening half but responded after the restart. Flori Anvirts delivered a pinpoint cross and Kai Havertz guided a header into the far corner for his third goal of the tournament, leveling the match at 1-1. The Germans pushed hard for a winner and thought they had found it in extra time when Jonathan Tah headed home from a corner. But a VAR review ruled the goal out for a foul on Paraguay goalkeeper Orlando Gil. But neither side able to find a breakthrough. The contest went to penalties. Gil emerged as Paraguay's hero, producing crucial saves from Havertz and Nick Woltmann.
Paraguay missed opportunities to seal the victory earlier in the shootout, but Germany failed to capitalize. After Tra blasted his penalty over the bar, Jose stepped up and buried the decisive spot kick to spark wild celebrations. The result marks Germany's first knockout stage appearance since their 2014 World Cup triumph, ending in disappointment. While Paraguay secured arguably the greatest victory in their World Cup history, they now await a potential showdown with France in the next round, provided Les Bleus overcome Sweden. A historic night for Paraguay and heartbreak for Germany. The South Americans are through to the last 16 after one of the tournament's biggest upsets so far.
All right, just a reminder to our viewers in India, you can watch all 2026 FIFA World Cup matches on Z5. Tune in and catch all the action. All right, that's all on World DNA for today. News and updates will follow on the other side of a short break. Here's a look at the top climate stories making headlines. We'll be right back.